Being motivated and productive every single day can be tough, especially if you don't feel like working at all. So that's why it's super important to not overstimulate your dopamine receptors and use dopamine to your advantage. If you overstimulate your dopamine receptors with short-term pleasure all day long, you will never be motivated because you won't even feel like starting to work at all. And that's why it's so important to not overstimulate your dopamine receptors and use dopamine to your advantage. Let me show you some practical steps you can take to make sure you stay motivated and productive even on the hardest days when you don't feel like working at all. First of all, I want you to understand the importance of dopamine and why it's so important if you want to achieve success in life and if you want to achieve your goals in life. Dopamine releases from 5 different circuits in the brain. All of these circuits have their own separate but related functions, and one of those circuits actually helps with plan and execute actions. This circuit pathway is actually the most important circuit for an individual to learn how to achieve his goals and learn how to stop procrastinating. Dopamine for all individuals sits at a certain baseline, and it also can spike and dip according to the task you are doing in the release of dopamine. Dopamine can actually be looked at like a wave pool. So the dopamine is actually the water, and it can, like waves, peak and then go back to baseline. So if you look at an example of a small goal like eating a sandwich, thinking about eating the sandwich before you eat the sandwich will actually peak your dopamine, make a spike in dopamine above your baseline. Then the dopamine will go from the spike above baseline and it will actually lower and drop below baseline. Only when the person goes and eats the sandwich, so actually fulfill the goal, then the dopamine will go from below baseline and reset back to the normal baseline from before. So now that you understand how dopamine works, you can actually start imagining how you can use this to achieve your goals in life. Thinking about a goal creates a peak in dopamine, then it will go down and fall below baseline, and this will create a desire for you to achieve the goal. And only from the moment when you achieve the goal will your dopamine go back to baseline, and then you will be fulfilled. Now, this only works when you have a clear goal, something you really want to achieve in your life. So the first thing I want you to do right now is think about what you really want to achieve in your life. What is the most important thing that you want to achieve in your life that you at this moment don't yet have in your life? Pause this video for like 5 or 10 minutes and really think about what it is you want most in life. Only after you have a clear vision of what you want to achieve in your life, then you can return to this video. Now that you know exactly what you want to achieve in your life, you have a clear goal, now you need to put a deadline on it. Set a date on which you want to have achieved your goal. For example, if your goal would be to earn $100,000, you say to yourself that you want to achieve this $100,000 by the 1st of January next year, so the beginning of 2025. Putting a deadline or a date on a goal actually creates some extra pressure and some urgency to really work towards that goal. If you wouldn't put a deadline on a goal, you wouldn't work as hard as you would now, because it seems to you that you have unlimited time to reach your goal. And this brings me to the next point in this video, which is humans are professionals at procrastinating. We are experts at putting off things for later. But what causes this? It actually comes because we don't have set a deadline or a date for a task for us to complete. So we need to overcome this. We need to give ourselves actually less time to complete a task. So to give you an example from my own life, when I first started making these YouTube videos, I gave myself 2 hours to create and complete one script of one video. And it always took me the full 2 hours to complete one video script. But then I decided to experiment with something. I wanted to see if I could complete a video script in less time. I actually wanted to complete a video script in only 1 hour instead of 2 hours, so that I could actually create a second video script in the other hour that I just spared by giving myself less time to complete one video script. So I actually wanted to double my work in the same amount of hours than I would normally only get one video script done. I wanted now to complete 2 video scripts. And in some magical way, from the day I started giving myself only 1 hour to complete a full video script, I actually did it. I completed a video script in 1 hour instead of 2 hours. The same amount of words and the same quality and creativity. I could now complete a video script in 1 hour, so I actually did double the work without needing to do any kind of extra hours of work. And that's the power of deadlines. Humans are wired in our brains, we are made to fill up the time we have available. Let's say I would give myself 3 hours for one video script. I would actually need those 3 hours to complete a video script, while I'll do it now in 1 hour. That's the power of deadlines and giving yourself less time. Put yourself under pressure, give yourself deadlines and less time to complete a task, and this will overcome your procrastination and it will make sure you complete much more work in a smaller amount of time. So what should you avoid to actually stay motivated and not procrastinate? If you look back at the dopamine experiment I did in the beginning, you should avoid high dopamine spikes, actually short-term pleasure activities that create a high spike in dopamine and overstimulate your dopamine activities. Those are things you should avoid. Some things overstimulate your dopamine receptors and create a dopamine spike that is actually too big. And the bigger the dopamine spike, the bigger the dopamine crash will be underneath baseline. Playing video games, watching porn, scrolling through social media, or using drugs and alcohol, those are all things that overstimulate your dopamine receptors. These activities create an enormous spike in dopamine and afterwards an enormous crash in dopamine. And when the dopamine starts going back to baseline, it won't actually go to the baseline than before. It will go a little, if this was your baseline before, after the dopamine crash, your baseline, your new baseline will be here. This actually causes your dopamine baseline to lower over time, and this will want you to have more of the same dopamine release to feel the same pleasure and happiness. This actually looks a lot like the behavior of a drug or an alcohol addict. This will make you not enjoy the little things in life anymore. It will make you not motivated and not productive to work towards your goal, because you just won't get any pleasure, any dopamine spikes anymore from working towards your goals. So stay away from high dopamine spike activities like playing video games, watching porn, using drugs and alcohol, scrolling through social media. Stay away from those activities if you want to be motivated and productive and if you want to achieve success in your life. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you got some value out of this video, and as always, stay strong.